Alright, hello Tino. Welcome back to some more Warframe content. This one is going to be a bit of a different one, kind of. Obviously, I'm going to be talking about the Chains of Harrow mission in Warframe. Spoilers ahead, obviously. And this is going to be just kind of more my general thoughts. I really enjoyed the mission. I actually liked it more than like the War Within, ironically. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So stick around. Hope you enjoy the content. And let's get into it.
For an age, you've guarded the divide between dust and void. Speak!
So I am not typically a fan of horror games. Getting scared for fun is not something I enjoy. I don't really like horror movies or TV shows, whatever. So I've never really understood the genre of horror games. But even so, I've always been able to appreciate them. And in particular, I've been able to appreciate like their atmosphere. As someone who loves films, a good atmosphere, cinematic vibe in a video game is something I can definitely appreciate and I really enjoy from a distance anyways when it's in a horror game. The Resident Evil 4 Remake is the only horror adjacent game I've ever played, although it's still sitting on my unfinished pile of shame. But once I was able to get past like the gore and some of the jump scares, I actually found myself really enjoying it, both because of how freaking cool Leon is. I mean, gosh, he's so cool. And the incredibly tense and intriguing like atmosphere each area of the game presented. Like, you start the game in like the haunted kind of forest, and then you move into like an abandoned sort of village, and then you go into like the area under the lake and the caves and all that stuff. Like, it was very, very, very well done. While it was a bit tense in a lot of moments, it wasn't too much to the point that I wanted to stop playing, for the most part. And once I finish that game, it's certainly one I want to make a video on, but this video isn't about Resident Evil 4. This is about the one mission in Warframe that gave me this horror thriller feeling to the point that I could still play, that I absolutely loved, and it completely took me by surprise, and that is the Chains of Harrow questline. Before we really get into this, a lot of you have been wondering what my progress is in the Warframe cinematic missions and all that. So I finished the War Within, finished the Sacrifice, and I finished like the prologue and everything for the new war. My next step is to start the actual new war questline. I still have to create my necromech. I might just like buy one because I've heard the grind is pretty bad. I don't think I'm going to be making dedicated videos on the War Within or the Sacrifice. The War Within I really enjoyed, but I didn't have anything very special to say about it like I did for the Second Dream. Now the new war, I know I will most likely be making a video about, but if I don't, I think I will definitely make one on Whispers in the Walls because of how it ties into the Chains of Harrow questline. So this was a mission that people had told me would be really good, and I was kind of skeptical, honestly, just because this was another kind of like, oh, I'll go unlock a Warframe mission, which up to this point, the ones I'd played weren't anything special in terms of their storytelling. It was just kind of like go to an objective, collect things, etc., etc. I had done the one like the Sands of Inaros, and I think I'd started Octavia's Anthem. Didn't get too far just because it was a lot of collecting music stuff. So going into this mission, I didn't have very high expectations. But as soon as I started it, those expectations quickly shifted, because the general premise of this mission is quite incredible. As from this first mission, you're trying to like re-find this Warframe Harrow, or this figure Rel, who is worshipped by the Red Veil. And so you come across a speaker of the Veil, Paladino, who is like kind of trapped in this very horror Dead Space vibe first mission, which was absolutely incredible. The semi-jump scares of the writing on the wall in blood, whew, so good. You'll be seeing some of my footage because I did live stream this on Twitch and YouTube. So if you want to check out that live stream, I'll link it down below. But you'll be seeing some of the footage, hence the little PNG tuber avatar. Just an FYI. The lore within this questline is so good. I'll get into that later. But just from the onset, the atmosphere of the derelict space station that's sort of abandoned but being taken by these like zombie whatever. I didn't know obviously what was happening at this point, but I was loving it because, like I said, it gave me those Dead Space vibes, kind of No Man's Sky, derelict freighter environments, which as much as I don't like horror, I like that because it's more on like the thriller side in my opinion. But I loved how intertwined the questline as a whole is into the lore. And as I mentioned with Resident Evil 4, one of my favorite things with that game was the like ambient environments, and also the ambient noise and the music, which Warframe did so well in this mission. My gosh, it's got all the typical like horror thriller tropes of like very high like string jump scares noises, the lights going on and off, even all in just this first mission. But obviously what was incredible and what made this feel like more of a horror thriller mission and totally fit within the context of Warframe is the lore here. This was one of the first missions outside of the split-second dream, really, that I absolutely was invested in, very intrigued in like what was going on here, because I'm fairly certain that it has implications and things on the rest of the story, and Whispers in the Wall in particular. And hey, you know, if you're enjoying this video, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and I think that would make you pretty cool.
We became the veil, the shroud of his blessed existence. Cast out.
So Rel was cast out as a Tenno when Margulis...
The man in the wall.
The thing! So, for those of you who don't know, if you don't know and don't care about spoilers, I guess that's why you're watching this. The Warframe / figure Rel that you're trying to kind of rescue, or trying to figure out what's going on with this individual, was a Tenno who was cast out. We don't really get a ton of detail about why he was cast out, but throughout this questline you are trying to put together parts of his like personality and re-put together all of his mind, essentially, because it's splintered from the Warframe vessel itself. So throughout this questline, you're trying to piece together all of his fears and worries, and he was cast out from the Tenno and taken in by the Red Veil, and with the Red Veil, they kind of like studied the Void, which they apparently found this like entity that Rel called the Man in the Wall. Rap, tap, tap. Am I right? And that aspect of this questline just added to the horror, because there's this void entity, Man in the Wall, like speaking through Rel's like consciousness, and not actually through Rel's consciousness, but like in between Rel's like voices that we're hearing, his shattered mind. You hear the Man in the Wall like speaking to you, and even Lotus was like kind of like, the heck is going on? You're not hearing anything. Let me tell you, I was hearing stuff, okay? And that aspect of everything just really, really added to the horror thriller element. The voices, it was incredible. It was very Dead Space vibe. Not what I expected from Warframe. I don't know if Warframe does this in any other quest lines, but I really, really want them to. If there's not anything currently in the game that is along the lines of this, man, this is a path that the future quests and new kind of story content with Whispers in the Wall could go into. And again, I haven't played, so it could absolutely go into, and I really hope it does. But if it doesn't, I'm hoping that in the future they really double down on this kind of aspect of Warframe, because whatever's going on with like the Void and just like the horrors and of the universe and everything, like the Void and the Man in the Wall like literally splintered Rel's mind because of his experiments and stuff with the Void, at least to my understanding, and that's terrifying. Like, we as a Tenno, someone who's that powerful, who can control the Warframe, that it could do that to someone is a very interesting concept. I really liked that. And in the conclusion of this mission, we see we're able to actually physically break the chains that are holding Rel down and restore a lot of their mind back to the vessel. And then we now have the actual Warframe of Harrow, and Rel is freed. Not without warnings of the Man in the Wall, which again, I probably should have waited to create this video until I played Whispers in the Wall, but that's a good ways away for me still. I still have to go through the new war and all of that. But that's pretty much all of my thoughts on this incredible, surprising mission from Warframe, and I really hope in the future that the devs really continue to kind of hammer down this aspect of the game. It's something I would love to see more of. Because to my knowledge, outside of this and maybe Whispers in the Wall, there's not really many horror elements. And you could tell the devs had so much fun in this mission, from just the sound design and the atmosphere and the music. Whew, it was all so creepy and ethereal, and I loved it. If there is the stuff in the Whispers in the Wall, let me know, obviously without spoilers, and I'll be very excited and looking forward to that. Let me know your thoughts on this mission whenever you played it, if you have. If you haven't, I'm glad you watched the video. Hope it was interesting, at least to you. And as I mentioned in the beginning, I am still kind of working my way through New War and planning on having possibly a video on that if I have some, thoughts that I think can add to the conversation. But if not, I will most likely definitely be having one on Whispers in the Wall. And then I'm working on this, which will be a long ways out. We'll have a full Warframe 2024 beginner review. I am excited about that, talking about all the great things and about all the negatives that I've experienced in Warframe. We got a lot of content coming up. We got a big old cyberpunk video, some more video analysis, video essay type content I am very much looking forward to, so I'll be sticking around, and I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.